Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's LinkedIn Live, where I have a very special guest. Please kindly introduce yourself and tell us all about your firm.
Hi, Rob. Happy to be here. My name is Billie Tarascio, and I own Modern Law, which is a family law firm in Arizona.
It sure is, and you're doing incredible things. And I was speaking off air how impressed I am in terms of you as a modern leader and embracing technology. And I guess that brings to where we first met in person. We met at ClioCon in Boston just a couple of weeks back. How did you find that? And just talk us through your rationale as a law firm leader going to conferences like that.
Well, I loved this year's ClioCon, and I've always loved ClioCon, but this year was really special. And it almost felt like my very first ClioCon back in 2013, where I was overwhelmed and just overjoyed that I found people that cared about what I care about, like technology and the business of law and how do we do things better. Like this old model never spoke to me. How do we do it better? But this year was pretty remarkable because the technology that we are all watching around the world, that we're playing with, that we're shopping and we're chatting with, is actually going to change the future of law. And Clio's announcements made that very real for me.
Yeah, very, very much so. It was incredible the amount of updates that they released in a very short period of time, within 12 months, in terms of the innovation that's been happening and some of their huge plays, particularly with VLEX and the Sharedo acquisition, et cetera, et cetera. Today, I want to talk about our conversation around client intakes. I know it's a huge challenge, particularly within your practice area of law. So could you just give us a flavor of the size of your firm and maybe just tell us how much of a problem this has been for you historically, and then maybe we can talk about some of the solutions and things you've implemented to help with that.
We are currently 20 lawyers. We'll do about $8 million in revenue this year. And client intake has always been both a problem and an opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't want to just call it a problem, but it is a huge opportunity within the firm because most of us don't get it right most of the time. It's so important, but also so difficult to do well. And if you can optimize that, it is almost one of the biggest changes you can make in your firm to make more money.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And so with that then, tell us a change you have made and how you came about that change.
So I went into this year's ClioCon pretty sure that the world of law was changing for two reasons. Two things had happened to me personally in the prior 3 months. One, I had been approached by venture capital who had made me an offer to buy out my firm, and that's different. And I've been
Yeah.
paying attention to this market for a long time. That's different. And then the other thing is I found this technology called LexiDesk that started doing client intake as well or better than any human ever could. And it hasn't replaced my humans, but it has made my intake process better, faster, stronger, more streamlined. It's absolutely incredible.
Okay. So for people who might have a hesitation about incorporating AI technology, particularly at the front end of that first touch point of a prospective client calling in or getting in touch with your firm, how have you found that, and how have you found LexiDesk rise to the challenge of outperforming, if you like, or if indeed matching that human experience?
I think we should break that down because there's so much there. The first thing is if you're a law firm and you are not using AI, you probably are and you don't know it.
Yeah.
But if you have not already disclosed to your clients that you're using AI and created a policy and training within your law firm, that's the starting point. Before you turn on AI, and you're probably already doing it in your email and you're probably already doing it in your documents. So we ethically need to get out in front of that by having a policy, by training on it, and by disclosing it. And I'm happy to share that policy with anybody who wants it. So that's the first thing that you need to do to get real comfortable and start understanding and learning what AI does. What can it do? What can't it do? What are the potential problems? I think that's your baseline before you can do this responsibly.
I love that. So it's due diligence. You do your due diligence, get processes, policies in place, communicate, be very open about it. Okay, great. Then what?
So we did that a ways back and have used AI in other ways. That way, when this technology came on, I knew we could put it in play. And in some ways, the AI technology at the intake level is much safer than using AI at any other point in your law firm because they're not your clients yet. They're not touching legal work. It cannot hallucinate. It's pretty simple for AI to do and yet complex for a human to do. So the AI that we're using, LexiDesk AI, has been trained for 4 years on having conversations with potential clients about their family law problems, other problems as well. But for me, family law is the most applicable. And it knows the questions to ask. It is better trained than anybody you can train that you're hiring to come on board. It knows what to ask. It affirms people's emotions. It collects the correct data. If it gets confused or somebody says something, it asks for clarification. It's really good.
Yeah, no, and I think it's an incredible piece of technology, and a really important point to understand is intake isn't admin; it's actually revenue protection. So you look at the number of times that law firms haven't been answering the phone, or the amount of calls that get missed, or whatever it might be. This is almost like a safety net on top of enhancing efficiency and everything else that your firm could potentially adopt. I want to go back to like how you discovered LexiDesk originally. Talk us through that experience.
I was having a conversation with ChatGPT about my intake problem, and the numbers that I had on my dashboard of missed calls weren't accurate because there was some auto answering going on. And so I had discovered, because this marketing company told me, "Hey, Billie, we're producing great leads. You're not answering your phone." And, how many times do marketing companies tell you that? It's your fault, it's not ours. But all you can do at that point is take that as an opportunity and dive in. And that's what we did. And when we dove in, we found, wow, there is opportunity here. We are missing calls. I have 3 full-time people and 1 part-time person on intake. I have a dedicated intake manager. We do dedicated trainings. We have huddles every day. And yet we miss calls. Why? There's one-on-ones, there's lunches, there's vacations, there's people out sick, there's people on the phone when the phone rings. Everybody calls at the same time. There are a million reasons why your intake team might be missing calls. And all of that is wasted money.
Yeah, absolutely well said. But you're talking about humans there, so let's break that down. Because is LexiDesk not coming in to replace your team, or is it working in conjunction with your team? Talk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, and so I found out I've got this problem. I was talking with ChatGPT about the problem, and we got to the concept of a AI receptionist, and that's what pointed me to LexiDesk AI. Then I researched the product, and I was like, "Oh, this is cooler than I thought it was." Like, I thought I was looking for an AI receptionist, and now I'm finding a Salesforce and an intake team. But no, it is not replacing my team. It and different firms are using it different ways. Most firms are not using it as aggressively as I'm using it. I am using it to capture the leads up front, to have the initial conversation. Now, if people say, "Hey, I want to talk to a human," then Emma, our LexiDesk AI, transfers it to a human, no problem. But she is able to gather so much information up front that what my intake team is then getting is a screened list of who are the leads and what are they calling about and what's their potential net worth and what is the problem that we're talking about and which county are they in. And that allows my intake team, when they're calling people back, to know, oh, I know these lawyers are in these counties. I know these lawyers are into this area of law. So I can already look at their calendars in advance. I can have a better, more streamlined conversation. So it just makes my humans' jobs easier.
Love it. Yeah, and that's what I always say: bring tech in for good, to remove friction, to increase efficiency. Well-being in the workplace. Tech for good. I'm a big advocate for it. Okay, there's probably going to be law firm owners watching this, going, "Yep, I agree with you, Billie," but they're still sitting on the fence. They probably haven't quite got to that stage of like, let's take action. Was there a specific moment for you when you thought, we have to fix this intake problem?
I have been obsessing about intake for many, many years. I have a course on intake that many people have purchased and used to train their own firms. And yet I struggle with the same things that I've been talking about in my course. So it was not difficult to sell me. Most lawyers using LexiDesk use LexiDesk as a backup. If my humans can't answer the phone, then LexiDesk comes in, or after hours and weekends. You can use this however you'd like. The other thing is it's remarkably inexpensive. You can't
Okay.
compare it to like a Ruby receptionist or a Smith.ai. because it's technology, because humans are not involved, the cost is way down. So I've now used it for 2 months. The first month, it answered like 2,000 calls. It cost me like $1,600. The second month, my bill was closer to 1,000. This is not a lot of money. So it's really something that even if you're nervous about, you should be exploring, or you will be left behind.
Yeah, and you know, it's well documented, isn't it? You know, the people that are using AI are obviously going to outpace the firms that are not. Okay, LexiDesk, you brought it in. Law firms historically haven't been majorly receptive to change or different ways of working straight away. How have you found as a law firm leader and trying to, I guess, innovate and embrace change within your firm, the incorporation of LexiDesk? Has it been easy? Was it been easy to set up? Talk us through that experience and any challenges you may have had.
Well, first I turned it on with the intake team, and the intake team was definitely nervous. I probably could have rolled this out slower and more intentionally, but I was so excited about it. And I am kind of I tend to be a leader that moves maybe quicker than her team is quite ready for. But so I could have done a better job with that. But we started meeting every day with the intake team, and that helped a lot. And we started explaining over and over and over again, what is this doing and how is it making your job better? For the rest of the firm, we played recordings, and then they got it. So it wasn't until they heard it that they were like, oh, this is great. And then they're getting better notes going in and more consistent notes. So the way that LexiDesk packages information and gathers information is just so consistent that it's different, and it's better than it was when it was just humans typing down what they heard the person say. I also find that the potential clients have no problem talking to Emma, but they also allow Emma to lead the conversation a little bit more than they allow humans to. So they're not just barfing up whatever it is that they want to talk about. They are waiting for Emma's questions, and then they answer them.
Yeah, no, and it sounds like it's really working well for you. And with that regard, then, what's most surprised you within, say, the 30 days of incorporating LexiDesk within your firm?
Well, now that my lead problem, my lead opportunity has been really taken care of, now I'm noticing, look at all these leads coming in at all times a day. How am I going to change my system to make sure that I'm getting back to these leads as quickly as possible? So, you're never done, right? It just, you fix one issue, or you optimize one piece of the flow, and then you notice an opportunity on the other piece of the flow. So now it's really about, okay, I see all these leads. How do I make sure I'm converting as many of them as possible and meeting their needs and getting them in as quickly as I possibly can with the right person?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those nice problems to have, right? It's a growth plane through adopting technology, because LexiDesk is ultimately giving you hours back without adding any headcount per se. But then, like you said, it's the next thing which is going to help in terms of that process of being a sort of AI legal tech really enabled law firm that's fit for purpose from 2025 and now. Okay, people will be like, this is all great. Let's talk about some results here. Let's give us some facts, some ROI or some measurables. So what results have you seen as a result of LexiDesk since you've incorporated it? And, what have been some of the impressive results?
After our first month, we captured 20% more leads than we normally do. And that
Wow.
was pretty outstanding. That means that, there's messages, like if someone leaves a message, but it's incomplete information and my team can't get back to them or connect with them, then that is a lead that never gets into my system. But we're not losing those anymore. So we are better able to capture every lead that comes into modern law. And I would have people, I remember I was getting a massage one day, and my massage therapist was like, Billie, I sent my friend to you, and she said she called and she never got a call back. And I can't be the only law firm owner that's had that very uncomfortable conversation. So that's gone.
Yeah, no, and that's the whole point, isn't it? Is to try and ensure that you can capture as much of this attention, because as I say, we're in this AI world, but AE is just as important, the attention economy. So if you're out there marketing or putting your brand out there, you want to be able to capture this attention and turn that into leads, turn that into, future revenue and clients, and go deep and foster and nurture those relationships, all of that good stuff. Okay, if LexiDesk disappeared tomorrow, what would break first in your operations?
Well, I would have to replace it. I will never go back to not having this technology in my office.
Okay.
It's available and we should all be using it. And that is the way that this AI rollout is going to work. Like once our lives get better, we're never going to go back.
Yeah, like we've had people like Piers Linney, friend of mine, Dragon's Den investor, Shark Tank investor over equivalent in the US, and he talks a lot about the ship has left the harbor. We're still in the dial-up phase of artificial intelligence, and you think about it's only going to get exponentially better and better and better. So I guess maybe a question to that is people are like, yeah, but Rob, I can tell it's a robot voice at the end of the phone. What do you say to that, and how good is the voice in terms of really providing empathy and sounding natural and not necessarily losing people?
Yeah. So you guys, we had to make sure that Emma started saying, I'm an AI agent because people could not tell. And people thought they were talking to a real human. And I think disclosure is really important. So you will be shocked. It's not like when you call Walgreens and they're like, press 1 for blah, 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 and plus 2 for. It's not like that. It's not one of these situations where you're yelling, representative, representative. That's not happening. You're having an actual conversation with a really with a very human voice.
Yeah, no, and that's important, isn't it? Because we still want to blend technology with a human experience, and the more that people can feel like they're getting that, it's probably going to build more trust. How have you built trust into generally bringing AI tools within your firm to lawyers that may not necessarily completely be open to change straight the way or at the pace of change that you're thinking about moving?
Well, I started earlier and we've had a couple failed attempts. I've put two different softwares, I've launched two different softwares into the firms that were failures. So, um it's been a conversation that has been happening within my firm for the last 3 years, and I think that that helps. You're
Mm,
not gonna be able to spring this on people. You want people to be able to get their head around the concept. They must understand how it works, and, um, that's gonna make it a little easier, and then you start talking about a vision for the future where their lives are easier and they make more money and they help more clients. That's what we're doing. That's what we're working on. Even though it's not gonna be perfect. Nothing ever is. No human is perfect, no tech is perfect. So, do I guess it's setting reasonable expectations.
yeah. And I love that. Like fail fast as well, right? You failed twice and now you've been able to sort of really add things. And people who follow me a lot say I love my quote sort of done is better than perfect because perfect never gets done, right? And I think if you can use that ethos and take action over, you'd rather have perfect sort of, imperfect action over imperfect, perfect inaction, if you know what I mean. And I think it's so important and maybe that leads nicely to my next question in terms of law firm owners, people heading up operations, heading up tech teams, thinking about buying or including AI tools within their firms that are still a bit hesitant, particularly around this type of technology. What would you say?
I mean, you have two options. You either get on board or you get left behind. And if this is something that you don't want to do, you don't want to learn, then join a firm like mine that has trainers and tech help and people who will teach you and hold your hand and walk you through it so you don't have to do it alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if people are interested in LexiDesk, how did you go about sort of signing up and getting involved? And maybe where would you suggest others to go and what to do?
The website is lexidesk.ai, and you can play with this technology. If you do \US, you'll get the US accent. If you just do lexidesk.ai, you're going to speak to a lovely British woman named Emma from Ashbury and Associates. And it will be lovely. You will enjoy it. So either way, go on the website, play with the technology, fill out a contact form, and it's a small company, so you're going to get to talk to the founder. And the only disadvantage will be if so many people sign up that I don't get my one-on-one time with these founders because they're pretty great. But no, you do need to contact them and sign up.
Okay. And then just finally, where do you see your AI journey with your law firm going? How do you see LexiDesk evolving further or other tools? What are other things you're going to be thinking about as a sort of modern, tech curious, but tech sort of adopting law firm leader?
Well, I'd love to see as humans get more comfortable with technology and as the technology gets better, I'd love to see a system where the intake team is needed less and less. And already, LexiDesk AI is able to encourage people to book on their own because we have the self-scheduling links, and that is happening. But I'd love to see that number go up. That way, as my law firm grows and we have more and more leads, I don't need more and more intake people. Not looking at laying anyone off, but if I don't have to hire more people, that's a win. And then long term, the vision that I saw laid out at CleoCon is a world where we finally can charge fixed fees and charge our clients less and help more people faster and become more productive, and we can make more money and drive down the costs of legal services. And my 20-year journey has been, how do we increase access to justice? We as an industry have really failed when 70 to 80% of the people who need us can't get us and they want it. And I've built other tools to try to help people in that, but they want lawyers. So until we can drive down the cost of lawyers or legal services, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to help that market.
And it's so true, and it's something I'm passionate about as well, and trying to collaborate with as many people and really double down on this access to justice and try to improve things. And yeah, I think you've been phenomenal, Billy, and what you've been doing with your firm and the tools you've been incorporating. And thank you for sharing your story with us. It's exciting times for your firm. If people want to follow you or get in touch with you, or maybe they do have a family law matter, where can they go? Feel free to share any websites or any social media handles so folks can get in touch.
Yeah, if you search modern law, you'll find me almost everywhere. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. The website is mymodernlaw.com. And I would love to connect and talk to any lawyers who are kind of going on this journey at the same time.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me. Really enjoyed this. They've had it, folks. If you've got an issue when it comes to client intake, definitely go and check out LexiDesk. Or if you've got questions that you would like to ask Billy privately about that piece of technology and how it's working for her and her firm and any challenges that she's been able to overcome, do reach out. But look forward to seeing you on the LinkedIn lane soon. And Billy, thanks so much once again for joining me, and hopefully see you back in America at some point next year.
Great to see you. Thanks, Rob.
Bye-bye, everybody.